Good evening. This is the biggest political story in the run-up to the 2019 general election. CNN News 18 learns from at least 5 different top-level sources within the Congress party that their Vice President Rahul Gandhi will not be the face of either the party or the opposition going into the 2019 elections. Rahul will also not be elevated as president of the party anytime soon. That big breaking story and its potential implications. That's our debate tonight. It's time for Face Off. The old Congress guard led by Sonia Gandhi all set to retake the reins of the grand old party for the upcoming state elections in 2018 and through to the general in 2019. Top Congress sources tell CNN News 18 that Rahul Gandhi will not be the party's face for the next general elections. So if not Rahul, then who? That's the natural question to ask. Who will be the face to take on Modi in 2019? Here in our studios, we'll be joined by Veer Sanghvi, our resident commentator here at CNN News 18. Vinod Sharma, political editor of the Hindustan Times. Pallavi Ghosh, senior editor politics at CNN News 18, the one who's breaking this story for us tonight. Gaurav Bhatia, spokesperson of the BJP, will be on our show. And Dr. Manisha Priyam, political analyst, will be joining us. We'll get to our debate and to our debaters in just a couple of minutes. Here are the other headlines, though, that we're tracking this Friday night on Face Off. The ghosts of Bofors may well return to haunt the Congress party. A parliamentary panel says the CBI must challenge the Delhi High Court's 2005 order closing the probe into the sensational arms scam. Hindi-speaking fans walk out of an A.R. Rahman concert in London complaining it had too many Tamil songs and not enough Hindi songs. The incident sparks a new language war on social media as fans call it an insult to a national icon. Karnataka DIG Prisons D. Rupa says she's not the one who leaked to the press the report exposing VVIP privileges to some convicts inside the Bengaluru Central Jail. She says she's being targeted. This as CNN News 18 airs videos of air coolers and domestic helps for VVIP prisoners inside the Bengaluru jail. And there's still no end in sight to Team India's coach selection saga. Just days after they were apparently appointed, Rahul Dravid and Zaheer Khan do not have contracts. It's been put on hold, sources say. Ravi Shastri will pick his own permanent support staff. But up first, this is the biggest story in the run-up to the 2019 general election. Rahul Gandhi, the Congress vice president, will not be the face of the party or of the wider opposition in the 2019 polls. The old guard, led by Sonia Gandhi, are retaking the reins of the grand old party. There is a return of much of the old guard seniors like Ashok Gehlot in Rajasthan, Kamal Nath in Madhya Pradesh for the upcoming state elections. Remember, both of these states go to polls in late 2018. Rahul Gandhi taking over as Congress president. It's been like waiting for Godot. It's been coming for a long time now, but neither is that going to happen for the foreseeable future. The reasoning, why is it that this has been shelved? Why is it that the Congress party is not willing to project Rahul Gandhi as the face of the opposition for 2019? Reason number one, many opposition leaders, the likes of a Nitish Kumar in Bihar or a Sharad Pawar in Maharashtra, may not be inclined to discussing strategy with Rahul Gandhi. They'd much rather prefer working with Sonia Gandhi. Reason number two, seniors within the Congress establishment themselves are much more comfortable dealing with Sonia Gandhi rather than with Rahul Gandhi. Reason number three, the latest gaffe surrounding Rahul Gandhi's meeting with the Chinese ambassador, and first the Congress party saying it was fake news, even accusing CNN News 18, which put out this story first, of trying to be a Bhakt channel, and then the same folks in the Congress party coming out and endorsing that story and saying yes, it indeed did happen. It's being seen as the incapability of the young team led by Rahul Gandhi, and particularly their communications team, which has now been rejigged in the light of this whole fiasco surrounding his meeting with the Chinese ambassador. Reason number four, Rahul Gandhi himself is reluctant to take charge, given just how Team Modi and Amit Shah have been steamrolling one election after another. He feels that it would be an inappropriate time to take over the reins of the Congress party sometime now. And reason number five, going into 2019, it wouldn't be smart to pit Rahul Gandhi versus Modi directly, it may further dent Rahul's image. After all, they tried it in 2014 and we all have seen what the results are. All right, let's bring in our guest panel tonight here in our studios. We're joined by Pallavi Ghosh, Senior Editor, Politics here at CNN News 18, the one who's breaking the story. To her right, Vinod Sharma, Political Editor of the Hindustan Times newspaper. Veer Sanghvi, Senior Journalist, our resident commentator here at CNN News 18. And via satellite, we're joined by Gaurav Bhatia, spokesperson of the BJP, and Dr. Manisha Priyam, Political Analyst, joining us tonight. First up, I'm going to say this. If this story is right and it becomes reality in the run-up to 2019, all credit to Pallavi Ghosh. If it is wrong, I'm not taking any of the flack. All flack to you, okay? But having said that, I'm just curious, where is this coming from? Why is the Congress reluctant to project their own man, their own vice president, heir apparent, Gandhi's scion? Why wouldn't they project him as the face to challenge Modi?
See, Zakka, first, I don't think there's any connection between Rahul Gandhi becoming the president and not being the face. I mean, you know, October is the timeline when those elections are supposed to take place. You know, he may very well become the president by October, but becoming the president of the party doesn't mean that he's going to be the face of the opposition in 2019.
Wouldn't that be an endorsement? Like, if he were to be made president of the party, wouldn't he then be a natural claimant to be the face of the opposition?
But things have changed. I mean, Sonia Gandhi, for example, has been a Congress president, but she was never ever projected as a Congress, the Prime Minister. I mean, you know, the criticism is coming that, you know, we have a democracy, we've got a parliamentary system, it's not a presidential system. But I think, in effect, that has changed. It's going to be someone opposite Modi. I don't think they want to make Rahul versus Modi.
So the Chehra will not be Rahul.
So the Chehra will not be Rahul. He'll do much of the groundwork. I mean, he'll be the one who will be campaigning. He will be, you know, coming up with those aggressive tweets of his. He may do things like Mansoor. But, you know, to become the face of the opposition, unity, opposite Modi, I don't think that's going to happen in 2009.
Vinod Sharma, I mean, look at the events of the last few days. You've had this entire fiasco around the Chinese ambassadors meeting, and then the communication strategy just completely went awry. Yesterday, they've rejigged the communications department, and look who's back. It's the same old guard. I mean, the likes of, who all are there? There's Mallikarjun Kharge now, there's Chidambaram is back, Manishankar Iyer is back. It's not, I mean, usually generational change happens when the old guard makes way for the young. Here the reverse seems to be happening. So it isn't an endorsement of Rahul Gandhi or his team, this rejig in the department.
Yes, of course, that's the impression. On the presidential aspect of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, whether he'd become the Congress president or not, there are 2 points of view as of now. I think Pallavi's story is not entirely wrong in terms of real-time information. These discussions are happening within the Congress party.
You mean there is a section that doesn't want him to be president?
Yeah, there's a section. I'll tell you, I'm coming to that. You see, as she said that the election to the president, new president, has to be between October and September and October. But at the same time, there is a point of view that next year, Sonia Gandhi completes 20 years as Congress president.
Okay.
And that she should be allowed to continue for another year. Okay. Now, this may be a very, honorable excuse to postpone Rahul Gandhi's emergence as Congress president. But it makes a lot of sense to people, because it is a fact that the opposition leaders are more comfortable engaging with Sonia Gandhi than with Rahul Gandhi, more so because some of the advisors that Mr. Rahul Gandhi have not really had any much traction with the leaders of the same generation, even in other political parties. So Nitish is more comfortable, Sharad Yadav is more comfortable, Sharad Pawar is more comfortable, any senior leader is more comfortable with Sonia Gandhi.
No, but all of this has been known. We've known this since 2004 perhaps. What I'm curious to know is, why wouldn't the Congress party back its heir apparent? Why would the Congress party willingly relinquish that, let's say, pedestal to somebody else?
You're asking me?
I'm asking you, yeah.
All right, okay.
Well, you don't think the Congress party will do that?
Zakka, over the last 18 months, I've been in the studio with you discussing various coups that the channel has broken. Twice, I think we've discussed Rahul Gandhi's imminent elevation to Congress president.
I said it's like waiting for Godard.
I'm being told that Sonia will retire the following week. Then we've had a discussion on, again, we've been told that Priyanka's joining politics the next month. So I was, if you remember, on all of those occasions, somewhat gently skeptical. So I am still gently skeptical of this story, but a sense inside beside me tells me that our record of getting it wrong will not be broken.
Okay, all right. you want to respond to that? I'll give you a chance. This is this show's called The Face Off. So and you can't accuse me of not giving people equal opportunity. So if you want to respond to that before I go to Gaurav Bhatia and to Manisha Priyam.
I think I'm going to wait for next year to happen. So
okay, she'll wait.
We are going to be back here right again.
She'll wait for next year. But Gaurav Bhatia, if this turns into reality in the run up to 2019, if Rahul is not projected as the face to take on Modi, then some would say, you know, it's actually going to make life difficult for the BJP. Let's say, I mean, a Nitish versus a Modi would be much more of a contest than a Rahul versus a Modi.
Zakka, I do not agree with you, because today I feel Mr. Narendra Modi has emerged as the tallest leader in India since independence. And last 3 years, if you see, the even election performance says the same thing. The bigger states like Maharashtra, even Uttar Pradesh have been won by the BJP. And whether it is Rahul Gandhi leading from the front, or whether it is Mrs. Sonia Gandhi or any other leader of the third front, does not worry the BJP. Rather, the narrative of the opposition is set by this, that they do not have any ideological bond. Just to defeat the BJP, they are coming together. And Rahul today is like a puzzle of which even the Congress has no answer to. They do not know how to solve this puzzle, and we hear this every year, that Rahul Gandhi would be elevated as the president of the Congress, but it doesn't happen. And the reason is this, that on serious issues like the GST, when the party needed Rahul Gandhi, he was concerned about the GST, but over Twitter. He does not engage seriously. He's a part-time politician.
No,
he
fair
does
enough.
not inspire
No,
the generation next of India.
Let me rephrase the question I asked you. Let's say the presidential election, you know, the coming together of the opposition parties that we've seen, both for the presidential election and for the vice presidential election. If there are 18 opposition parties going into 2019 in some form of a loosely knit alliance with one face, don't you think that would be a tougher challenge rather than to, you know, go against a split opposition with Rahul Gandhi as the face of the Congress and somebody else as the face of the other opposition parties? I mean, let's make no mistake about this. If the Congress party, if there's a thinking within the Congress party to ask Rahul Gandhi to take a back seat, it clearly means it's trying to make the way for somebody else to be projected as the opposition face. That's why it's being done.
No, Zakka, there are only two possibilities. First is that, you know, the Congress becomes the main party, and you are assuming all these political parties who've come together for the presidential election or the vice presidential election will contest the election together. The second possibility is that a leader from the third front parties become the main leader and Congress contests under their umbrella, which I think is a remote possibility. In each of the case, let me tell you that Lok Sabha elections are very different from state elections. And rightly said by one of the panelists that even though we don't have presidential form of government, but it has become a very personality-oriented election. So therefore, Mr. Narendra Modi is the leader that India wants to vote for. And it doesn't matter whether it is Nitish Kumar or it is Mr. Rahul Gandhi, but together they will not be able to cobble up a stable government, and that is why the voters are, you know, aware enough not to vote for such disintegrated groups.
Let me get in Manisha Priyam as well. Do you buy this theory that trying to project Rahul directly against Modi in 2019 would be a liability? They tried it in 2014. It was like David versus Goliath, except Goliath won. But I'm saying, you know, it would just be a repeat of 2014. So you'd rather find somebody who can make a match of it, who can actually challenge Mr. Modi.
Okay, so let me take it at two levels. One is that everybody wants a Modi versus Rahul match, and if that is not happening, you're willing to write off Rahul Gandhi. But if you look at the question differently, from the point of view of the Congress party itself, since you are discussing quite a stale topic of whether Rahul Gandhi should be elevated or not, let me see what the newness can be looking at it from the vantage of the Congress itself. The Congress does have its strengths. It has its strength in Andhra Pradesh, it has its strength in Karnataka, it has its strength in Madhya Pradesh, it has its strength in other western states as well. I won't elaborate the list, But let me tell you, in Medak, for example, in June, the state party unit felt in Telangana that Rahul Gandhi should be projected, and a big rally, the Singh Garjana or whatever Naad it was referred to as, called him the grandson of Indira Gandhi, and a crowd of lakhs goes there. In neighboring Karnataka, however, nobody wants the elevation of Rahul Gandhi. Everybody thinks the Ahinda politics with the Dalits at the front, of which you see Mallikarjun Kharge in the center, or you see Siddaramaiah in the state, none of them are very keen on Rahul Gandhi being projected. So within the Congress itself, different states have different scenarios. I think the best case scenario for the Congress at this point of time is to forget fighting Narendra Modi and to see what is the best battle they can put forward. I think they get caught in this thing. Oh, we have to fight the BJP and we have to make a coalition government. Therefore, let's prepare for the coalition government. If we have to prepare for the coalition government, Rahul is not our best case. So if you're going to put your odds on your second best or your third best outcome, nobody is your leader, let alone Rahul Gandhi.
Isn't that a fair point? I mean,
that's the typical
if the Congress is saying already 2 years,
have a weak leader,
I think that's a great point.
Coalition.
I think it's a great point. If the Congress party is saying in 2017 that 2 years ahead of the general election, that our best outcome from 2019 is to go into it as a coalition. Single-handedly, party to party, we can't take on Modi. We're already giving up. I mean, in a sense, that's what they're doing, right? By asking Rahul Gandhi to take a back seat.
I mean, I think it's a reflection on the Congress party. The fact is that, you know, if you are already planning that we need a Sonia to get all the opposition parties together to take on one single man, it's an admission of your weakness. I mean, how sad can it get? I mean, how worse can it get than that for the Congress party? I mean, the fact when we are talking here and we are saying that, you know, Rahul can't do it and only Sonia can get, say, a Mayawati or perhaps a Mulayam or perhaps a Mamata Banerjee or a Nitish Kumar, and Rahul can't do it, and that's the reason why we don't want a Rahul. It is just a sad reflection on the state of the Congress party.
No, but in some senses, Vinodji, you know, it's similar to 2003 in some senses, in some respects at least, although it seems like such a long time away. You know, those were the heady days of India shining. Mr. Vajpayee was a larger-than-life figure. He could do no wrong. And yet, here's this lady who cobbled together everybody from Karunanidhi to Sharad Pawar, and it was a surprise result. 2004 was a surprise result. Couldn't that be repeated in 2019, or isn't that the attempt by the Congress at least?
You see, first of all, the Congress requires to change the narrative. It can't be weaving a narrative around the persona of the Prime Minister. It has to attack the government on policies, and there, bringing this advisory group of senior leaders who have had institutional memories and have served in the government is a good idea. That so long as if these people are aiding the spokespersons and briefing them rightly on issues. Don't forget that the post of the Congress President in the Congress scheme of things is more powerful than that of the Prime Minister. It is often believed that if Narasimha Rao had continued to be Congress President instead of opting to be the leader of the legislature party, he would have continued for a longer period. So if, and I for the time being assuming that what Pallavi has got will be taken to fruition, you know, within the party, that if Rahul Gandhi becomes the Congress President, his relevance will remain intact in the Congress scheme of things, and to project a face which is different from that of Rahul Gandhi will be nothing new, because I remember in 2009 when somebody asked Indira Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi at a press conference at the release of their manifesto that who's your party, who's your prime ministerial candidate. So she raised that manifesto and hid her face and left only Dr. Manmohan Singh's face visible. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Congress decides to project, say for instance, just for example, a P. Chidambaram or Mallikarjun Kharge or somebody like him, you know, depending on what are the priorities and what kind of vote constituency they are trying to attract, you know.
So you believe it's possible that Rahul Gandhi can get elevated as president of the party, and yet somebody from within the party can be projected as the opposite prime ministerial candidate?
It has happened before.
Okay.
And the relevance of Mr. Rahul Gandhi will not be diminished in that scenario.
No, but I thought the whole idea, Gaurav, I'm coming to you 1 second. But I thought the whole idea, Veer, was that you know, you're asking Rahul Gandhi to take a step back so that somebody else from the wider alliance can be projected. And in this case, I would assume it's Nitish Kumar because A, he's one of the few who's actually beaten Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah in their own game. He can boast of it, number one. Number two, if it's Chehra versus Chehra, I guess he has the most credible of the opposition Chehras in that sense.
There are sort of two components to our scoop. Component one is that mother and son have decided that, you know, the young people are no good and Rahul should be given a back seat and the Congress should be handed to the older people. I mean, this is cobblers, so we'll ignore that. There's a second component to our scoop is that the opposition, united opposition, will not accept Rahul Gandhi and they would prefer Sonia Gandhi. This may or may not be true. But we won't know that till we are nearer the general election. As of now, all we have in public is Nitish Kumar at Chidambaram's book release function saying to Rahul Gandhi, you are the leader of the opposition, you should take the lead. So it's possible that Nitish Kumar actually doesn't mean that and is secretly plotting with Pallavi to oust Rahul Gandhi. But so far, at least, we've not seen any evidence. There is, however, we had on Virtuosity, we had a discussion on the subject, and we had Pinaki Mishra of the BJD. And he said that the BJD would be happy joining an opposition alliance with someone like Pranab Mukherjee as Prime Ministerial candidate.
Whoa.
But these are early days. We are 2 years away. I don't think the opposition has sat down and come to any conclusions. As for Nitish Kumar being projected as Prime Minister, that's a non-starter. I mean, the man means nothing in South India. It's not going to happen.
Okay, Gaurav Bhatia, you wanted to come in, but Pranab Mukherjee is Prime. I don't think we've ever had a president who's demitted office.
It's never ever happened.
Yeah,
it's unprecedented, but who knows?
But we never had a Chief Justice of India becoming the governor also in the past.
Okay, Gaurav Bhatia.
Yeah, Zakka, I would just like to say that if you look at the anti-incumbency, there is no visible anti-incumbency and Mr. Narendra Modi is performing as the Prime Minister. And look at the major states that have gone for election, be it Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, there was no chief ministerial face declared by the BJP. These elections were contested mainly on the performance of the central government and face and leadership of Mr. Narendra Modi, and we succeeded. Therefore, today, Mr. Narendra Modi's leadership is accepted by all. And today's survey of Forbes magazine, all the OECD countries, there are 35 of them, and the survey says that 73% of the Indians have faith in the government. That is the highest amongst all these 35 countries. So the general feeling today is that India is progressing. In Narendra Modi ji, we have a strong leader, and therefore all these political parties that are coming together are not coming together because of any ideology that they have. It is more like a compulsion, and it is a negative narrative which will not attract voters of India.
Okay, we'll see. But I mean, on the contrary, the opposition would argue, you know, there's something that binds us. You know, we don't want people to be lynched in the name of beef. We don't want.
We are seeing what is happening in Bihar right now. The RJD, JDU.
Yeah, that is.
We are seeing how Samajwadi Party itself
Fair enough.
is
That is a
splitting
story.
into two.
That is a story.
And there are other anomalies as well.
No, in terms of issues that bind the opposition, Manisha Priyam, aren't there issues that bind the opposition? I can think of this whole lynching thing as one. I can think of what's been happening with Dalits as another. Industrial growth, people don't talk about it. Lack of jobs. I mean, won't these things be issues that bind the opposition? Is all I'm asking. Manisha Priyam.
I mean, these are a lot of them, industrial growth or unemployment, or, you know, these are issues not just for the opposition, these are issues for everybody. So if the question really is, what is the best case scenario for the Congress party, I would go back to the old theme of saying that the Congress should think out of the box, think of reviving itself in the states. The panelist who just preceded me talked about the results of the BJP in Jharkhand. Let me remind you that the BJP in an 80-member assembly in Jharkhand barely had a majority exceeding by one or 41-member lead. In the 40 seats, however, the Congress, which had at one point of time the Tana Bhagats coming out and looking out for the symbol of the Congress and voting for it in any election, where was the Congress? It was Hemant Soren who was taking the lead, in trying to fight the BJP on the ground. And look at the kind of candidature that the BJP had. So I don't think the assembly election in Jharkhand, in the Lok Sabha election, the BJP had done much better. The assembly election was much tougher, but the Congress was nowhere in the contest. And I think that's the lesson that the Congress needs to take. It is losing out state after state. If the Congress has to put forward one chief ministerial candidate that it wants to take on Narendra Modi, I can't find a name. And the BJP is going to come back to you with a battery of names. So I do think it's the reinvention of the Congress as a grassroots political party. That is the important agenda. And I think we are harping back on old stories saying, will the son succeed the mother or will the mother remain? Yeah, the mother will always be the mother. The son will always be the son. But is there a sunrise in the Congress party or not? That question is extremely important, and that sunrise will happen by grassroots politics being played by the Congress. It has to revive itself in the states, and there are many opportunities. I can't see the Congress taking up any of those opportunities.
I keep going back to that phase between, let's say, 98, 99 to 2003, and Manisha Priyam is right. The Congress's revival actually happened from the states, and Sonia Gandhi, you know, YSR, for example, in Andhra Pradesh. There was Vilasrao Deshmukh in Maharashtra. There was Ashok Gehlot in Rajasthan. Digvijay Singh, Madhya Pradesh. Why aren't we? I mean, if the Congress party has decided, okay, Rahul Gandhi is your heir apparent, he's your scion. He has chosen his own sort of satraps, for want of a better word, in these states. Why wouldn't you go into 2018 with Sachin Pilot as your face? Why wouldn't you go into Madhya Pradesh?
I won't be surprised if they don't do that. Now look at Madhya Pradesh, Jyotiraditya Scindia. He's been going there. You know, you speak to him, he admits the fact that we've just got 1.5 years left to go. And in Madhya Pradesh, the Congress can give a fighting chance. Whether they win or not, that's a different issue. But there is a sense that, you know, they can put up a fight. That's one state which is waiting to be won over. But then Kamal Nath is someone they wouldn't want to fall back on. And then in Rajasthan, yes, Sachin Pilot has been crisscrossing, he's been spending days, he's stationed himself in Jaipur, but the party has not officially declared him. The best example is that of Punjab. They had to go in for Amrinder Singh.
Yeah.
I mean, Bittu and all of them are very close to Rahul Gandhi, but all it took was a threat from Captain Amrinder Singh that I will quit the Congress party for Rahul Gandhi to publicly declare him as their CM face.
Vinodji?
She's right. You know, I remember that, you know, just before that public meeting in Amritsar, where Rahul and Amarinder Singh and others jointly addressed that meeting, there was this feeling in the Amarinder Singh camp that if today he is not formally projected as the chief ministerial candidate, the Congress may end up repeating the results of the previous elections. So I think that the strength of the Congress party always was its you know, chieftains in the states, and Indira Gandhi's time, you know, that was systematically dismantled, and that needs to be recreated. And remember in 1998, and we would also remember when Sonia Gandhi became a president, she was acceptable as president because the Congress party won 3 state elections soon after that. So her acceptability as Congress president was never in doubt, but the questions were whether she would be acceptable as Prime Minister. I think that Rahul Gandhi will do well to devote 100% time in reviving of the Congress, as Mrs. Priyam is saying. And the biggest problem with the Congress party is the sorry state of the organization in all the states.
We've known this for God knows 15 years
Odisha,
now.
Look at Odisha, where it was a direct fight always between Biju Janata Dal and the Congress. Today people are saying it is BJP and Biju Janata Dal. No, it's amazing that nobody is looking at that state. Why?
No, my point, I mean, Gujarat, which is the state that's going to go to polls in the next 6 months, I mean, they're still figuring out whether it's going to be Bharat Singh Solanki, whether it's going to be Shankar Singh Waghela. Waghela every other week issues a threat, oh, if you don't project me, I'm going to quit. And this is after being out of power for what, 20 years in Gujarat?
Well, I think, Zakka, there's a problem with the way in which we look at the Congress. The media narrative is that the oldies are out and Rahul and Jyotiraditya and Sachin Pilot, Milind Devra, the young people will take over. It's never been quite like that, in that Rahul has been asked to look at the organization, and let's face it, we've all talked about the Congress's weakness at the grassroots level for what? Till the cows come home and nothing has happened, and he's failed at that. Let's be completely honest. He tried to do elections, he said he would create a new line of leadership, he's failed at that. Sonia has always taken on the job of dealing with the allies, talking to them, and I think that division continues. But I think there's now a recognition within the Congress that unless you fall back on people who have their roots in the state, who understand the organization, you're not going to win elections. That's why Kamal Nath is a good bet in Madhya Pradesh. Perhaps, it's not clear yet, Gehlot will be a good bet in Rajasthan. So I think the sense that we have, which is that the moment the Congress projects a young face, youth will flock to the Congress will win, is a view that the Congress rejects. The Congress is looking at organizational people who know workers around the state and is trying, but I think too late, to revive itself.
Gaurav Bhatia, again, it keeps coming back to the point that, I mean, even with the BJP, this whole tremendous run that the BJP has had, not just from 2014, but even earlier, it goes back to the states. You're winning state after state after state. And I think Odisha is a great example that Vinod Sharma pointed out. I mean, today the BJP in those states where it's not in power has become the de facto principal opposition party, even in Bengal. Yeah, even in Bengal. Nobody talks about the left anymore.
In fact, Zakka. Can I respond?
Yeah.
Zakka, there is a fundamental difference. You know, the BJP is expanding its foothold all over India. And there is a reason for that, BJP has been nurturing its state leadership, be it Madhya Pradesh or we have Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, now in Maharashtra, we have Mr. Devendra Fadnavis. And I think in the long run, for any national party to grow and be strong, you need strong state leadership also. And that is completely missing in the Congress. Most importantly, look at the issues that Rahul Gandhi generally takes and then leaves them midway without taking them to the logical conclusion. In UP, they started with the slogan, 27 Saal UP Behal, and then suddenly there was a U-turn and they formed an alliance with the Samajwadi Party that they were criticizing. Bhatta Parsol, he visited, but nothing changed for the people who owned land. We remember about Kalavati, he visited, but nothing changed for the scheduled caste. My point is this, that a leader has to inspire everyone. He has to take up a cause and then show that he can lead from the front and can deliver. And Mr. Rahul Gandhi has been completely failing on that front. And as a political party, the BJP would be the happiest if Mr. Rahul Gandhi continues to lead the Congress.
No, I think Gaurav is right. Manisha Priyam, look at some of the issues that Rahul Gandhi has taken. I think in terms of just the sheer number of issues that he's talked about in the last 6 months, year and a half, too, he's gone from, like he said, the Kalavati moment, he went to her face, he made her the face of the agrarian crisis, only to forget it a month on. Then he picked up the OROP fight for the army veterans. Now he's dropped it. He criticized the Prime Minister for the surgical strikes. He called it Khoon ki dalali. And then when there was a backlash to it, they've suddenly gone kaput. In UP, like Gaurav said, you criticize the Samajwadi Party. In fact, Rahul Gandhi was the first person to launch a Kisan Yatra. And then suddenly midway through the campaign, they've allied with the same guys that they were criticizing. They've allied with Akhilesh Yadav and the Samajwadi Party. This whole thing around Prashant Kishore, he was brought in as this magician with a wand who can change the fortunes of the Congress Party. The moment the Congress and the Samajwadi Alliance lost the UP elections, they've dumped him like a hot potato. I mean, a politician has to have some amount of conviction in the issues he picks up. I mean, Mr. Modi, in the run-up to 2014, hammered on the one issue of corruption, and it stuck. People bought it. And rightly so. I mean, corruption was the lead narrative for the fag end of the UPA too. I mean, if you want to make an impact in politics, you can't go issue hopping, right?
Oh, okay, so there are two things that you're talking about. You're talking about the revival of the Congress and you're talking about the political fortunes of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. And I do think on both of them, one advice given by a prior panelist, Sri Vinod Sharma ji, is extremely important to carefully think about. He is saying that the post of the Prime Minister and the post of the party president should be kept separate, and that's how it's been in the Congress. And I think that can be one possible way. I mean, Rahul Gandhi can pick up the issue of the party, and he should seriously, if he wants to come back in the reckoning, he should look at party revival and let prime ministership or coalition building, all of these remain in the hand of more seasoned politicians. Look at what has happened now. I remember the 2012 Punjab elections assembly elections, Rahul Gandhi was then in the Punjab University doing meetings with youth, you know, all those kind of things were happening. In the Gujarat assembly elections, similarly, Rahul Gandhi had a team dedicated to him. There was Shakti Singh Gohil, Babaria, there were youth Congress members who used to come for war room meetings to Delhi. All of that was happening. The Mansa bypoll was actually months before the assembly election, the Mansa bypoll was won by the Congress. But where that momentum went in the last minute, nobody knows. So at this point of time, Rahul Gandhi should advisably be given a smaller role where he can prove himself at the electoral hustings, rather than try and catapult himself talking about Kalavati, which was actually a way of talking about the nuclear deal that Manmohan Singh was doing. So what has the Congress become? It's become the ISBT, where anybody comes, rides onto the Congress bus. Even Manmohan Singh, he was not a devout congressman. I remember he was an advisor of Chandrasekhar. He comes into the Congress and he finds his best fortune there. Coalition parties come to the Congress, they find their best fortune there. So the Congress party has to stop, you know, being that bus on which every passenger can get on. It has to have a brand which separates it from other political parties. And Rahul Gandhi must take his test very seriously. He must first prove himself at the hustings and then come back and take the mantle.
I'm going to
and at this point of time, I think Vinod Sharma's advice is very serious and very solid. Keep the party and power separate.
Closing comments. I mean, the natural sort of corollary question is, if not Rahul, then who? Both for the party and for the wider opposition.
But Pranab Mukherjee is one name which has been thrown up. But,
I don't know.
I'll be very surprised.
I'd be even more skeptical of that than...
Yeah, I would be as skeptical of Pranab Mukherjee as Veer is of...
of your story.
Of my story.
No, but honestly, I mean, if not Rahul, then who? I mean,
I still have a hunch that they may not actually project a face for anyone. They'll just keep the guessing game going.
Going into 2019?
Going into 2019.
No, sure.
You know, this is pure conjecture and speculation, I mean, names and all that. I mean, one would need to have a sense of clairvoyance to be able to do that. But one thing the Congress party needs to do is to create an army or a set of leaders who have the finishing power. They dribble a lot when they don't have the finishing power. They are faced with adversaries for whom politics is 24/7. They eat, live and breathe politics. Most of the young leaders that we see in the Congress party, politics is not their bread and butter. And that is why that killer instinct is somewhere lacking. And in fact, and they also need social engineers, people who understand the Indian society. You see, every third leader in the BJP is a social engineer of sorts. They understand the Indian society very well in terms of various castes and combinations and permutations and all. While in Congress, you see in UP, Mr. Bhatia is, he's speaking from position of strength because that experiment failed. But they thought that by creating a spectacle, they'll win the elections. No, unless there is a social coalition on the ground, you can't translate that your political coalition into a victorious coalition. I mean, that's the biggest mistake Congress has been committing all this while.
Veer?
Well, I'll actually plug tomorrow's Virtuosity, which is an interview with Mr. Chidambaram. And he makes exactly the same point you made at the beginning about the Vajpayee wave, Vajpayee beating Sonia Gandhi twice and her finally turning the tide. He says that the Congress's organization is in a mess. This is why the Congress is doing badly. Unless it gets its organization right, there will be problems. So he's quite honest about that. But he also says that elections are decided not now, but 6 months before polling day. He believes that the issues that are now coming up, which is unemployment, which you mentioned, agrarian distress, a certain sense of insecurity, a certain sense of polarization within society, if the Congress were to handle these properly, if there was going to be a certain change in mood in the last 6 months before the elections, if the economy was not to do well, then the opposition has a chance of defeating Mr. Modi, regardless whether it's Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi or what, Pranab Mukherjee or whoever. He's a congressman. So perhaps he's being overly optimistic. But as of now, I think it would be crazy to deny that Narendra Modi seems set for a second term.
Gaurav, is that the best case scenario, that there is this simmering anger that we're all sort of oblivious to, or at least we in the media can't seem to be sensing, or is that the optimistic hope of the people like Mr. Chidambaram?
No, Zakka, I would say that for any party to grow, there needs to be a very strong ideology and there needs to be issues that you believe in, and you have to then ensure that they trickle down to the common people. And for the BJP, I must say that we have a very formidable combination in Mr. Amit Shah, who is the president of the BJP, who has this fire in him to further expand the BJP. He has visited remote places like Puducherry, Lakshadweep. You know, it shows the intent of the BJP that we want to be a pan-India party having reach to every state, every union territory, which is completely missing in the Congress. And under Mr. Narendra Modi, we have a leader who's performing, and through good governance, we are reaching out to the people. And this combination would not be easy to be beaten by any other opposition, even if they come together, and it would be only glue of opportunism to be in power and nothing else, which will fail for sure.
I'll give the final word to Manisha Priyam. Again, if not Rahul, then who?
Well, anybody. Let there be elections at all levels and let there be an opposition in India, for God's sake. We need a plural democracy. We need an open democracy. And I think it would be a very good precedent if Mr. Rahul Gandhi is not succeeding. Let the Congress have an open election and find a good leader. And I think that would be a way forward to looking at open pluralism, things being built up with voice. And that would be a very good example. Those are some of the values that Rahul Gandhi seemingly stood for. If the results are not good for him, he should accept it with a pinch of salt and let the party go on.
All right.
One point I want to make. One reason why the projection of Rahul as Prime Ministerial candidate may not be possible, you know, in his own seat and that of Raebareli seats. Raebareli and Amethi seats both are at grave risk today. So it's a serious crisis facing the Congress leadership.
Okay.
So they have to really do something out of the ordinary to be able to revive the force.
He hasn't been there to Amethi in the last 4 months.
In a long time. I'm going to wrap up by saying we've done 40 minutes of this debate talking about the future of the Congress party, and not once did we mention Priyanka Gandhi. So I'm going to wrap it up at that, because that's always where these debates end up, but we'll leave it at that. We'll see. We'll know. 2019 is still a long time away. But like I said, all credit, all flack goes to Pallavi Ghosh. Okay?
Veer is going to be around. So.
I'm going to take a break. When we come back on the other side, he is, of course, India's greatest musical genius of this generation. One of the few who's got an Oscar, at least a major Oscar. A.R. Rahman at a concert in Wembley, some of his fans walking out apparently because, and I'm quoting here, he sang one too many Tamil songs and not enough Hindi songs. That story when we return. Welcome back. Oscar-winning composer A.R. Rahman got slammed on social media after some of his fans reportedly walked out of his concert at the Wembley Stadium in London because many of the songs he sang were in Tamil. Now, for the record, Rahman sang 16 Hindi songs and 12 Tamil songs. What explains this parochialism that was on display for some of his fans? Take a look at this.
An evening to die for. Oscar winner, global music icon, the darling of so many film industries at once, above all, an icon of Indianhood before your eyes in flesh and blood. Unexpectedly enough, a full house it was at London's Wembley Stadium for the man, for his iconic music that transcends barriers. Not for long though, as that parochial Hindi-only mindset swung in, and even as Rahman mixed Hindi with Tamil numbers, close to half the audience decided to walk out in protest. There was a barrage of anger on Twitter, slamming the concert as a South Indian one, blaming it on what they called A.R. Rahman's image-conscious, PR-driven personality. So do you blame the event organizers then for false marketing? Not quite. The concert titled Netru Indru Nalai had been publicized as a Tamil music event. The pre-decided playlist said that clearly enough. What's more, 60 of the 28 tracks Rahman sung, that's more than half, were in Hindi. All that really glares is a bigoted, parochial mindset even amongst Indians overseas that demand that anything Indian must be only Hindi. Irrespective of the fact that the performer A.R. Rahman straddles multiple languages and borders Tamil to Hindi to Marathi, even Mandarin and Persian, a household name in India and across the world, an artist above politics, yet insulted this way by bigoted, parochial mindsets. Are such convoluted outlooks even remotely acceptable?
Big names of the entertainment industry have come out in support of A.R. Rahman. Javed Akhtar, who he's worked with in so many movies in the past, he spoke to CNN News 18 saying that any kind of linguistic bias, whether it's in films or otherwise, is not good for society.
Well, I'm not here to, or I'm not in position to pass any comment about the global Indians, whether they are getting more parochial or not, because I have not studied this issue. But I suppose it's tragic that languages which are meant for communication quite often becomes the barrier in communication. If it was announced that this concert is in Tamil and for Tamil songs and Tamil music, then to expect that A.R. Rahman or anybody would sing all Hindi songs is not fair at all. I mean, it was announced, I suppose, as you are telling me. But these biases, linguistic biases, are not very healthy for our society. You know, India is a multilingual society and we should have respect for every language. I do understand that if you are not understanding a language and that is being spoken or sung, you can get alienated, you can get bored because you are not understanding what is being sung. But don't crib. I mean, they have all the right to walk out if they are not enjoying any event, even if it is in Hindi or in English or any language. And while even you are understanding the song, and if you are not enjoying it, you have all the right to quietly walk out. But to make a big fuss about it is not a very nice thing to do.
All right, from entertainment to sports now. And despite the appointment of Ravi Shastri as the head coach of the Indian team, the coach selection saga is far from over. Sources have now revealed to CNN News 18 that the appointments of Rahul Dravid and Zaheer Khan, both of whom were made consultants, that has not been finalized. Their contracts have been put on hold. The Supreme Court appointed Committee of Administrators, the COA, in a meeting in Delhi on Saturday, will decide whether or not Dravid and Zaheer Khan should be appointed as consultants, as has been recommended by the Cricket Advisory Committee. Or they can decide otherwise, whether a call should be taken on a tour-by-tour basis. It's also emerged that Ravi Shastri will be given a free hand to pick the permanent support staff that he wants, which means Bharat Arun is likely to be appointed bowling coach alongside batting coach Sanjay Bangar and R. Sridhar. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has issued notices to former BCCI President N. Srinivasan and Niranjan Shah, asking them to explain why they attended board meetings despite explicitly being disqualified as office bearers. In its fourth status report submitted to the Apex Court on the 9th of July, the Committee of Administrators had hauled up both Srinivasan and Niranjan Shah for finding a backdoor route into BCCI meetings and impeding the reforms process therein. Both veteran administrators had attended the meetings as nominees of their respective state units. The Supreme Court has now sought an explanation and will hear their replies on the 24th of July. It will also examine whether disqualified office bearers can participate in BCCI affairs through other routes. And that's a wrap of the Friday edition of Face Off. Thanks for tuning in. In case you want to check out any of these stories, you can go to our website, news18.com. Thanks for your time. Enjoy your weekend. We'll catch you again Monday night, same time.